What is up, guys? It is Thursday, January 18th, and this is the Casual Wrestling Podcast, where each and every week, I, the Notorious NerdyD, breaks down 4 questions from the casual wrestling community. Alongside me tonight is my better half and the co-host of the NerdyD show, the queen of quirky, the loose cannon, LevelUp Lauren.
What's up, y'all?
If you enjoy the Casual Wrestling channel and you have a couple of bucks to throw our way, you can do that at the link below in the description of this video. If not, sit back and chill. We are about to talk pro wrestling. All right, first question, Lauren, right out the gates here. Okay. First question is from Noah Wilson in Evanston, Illinois, and he asked, why do so many WWE fans criticize AEW for the crazy and risky spots, but when WWE superstars like Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory try a risky spot and fail, WWE fans give these people a pass? Okay. So let's kind of break it down systematically for Evan here. I think here would be my opinion. I think, number one, that there is a bias on both sides. I definitely think that for every IWC kind of AEW drone, there is a counterpart that is a WWE fan. I just don't think they're as loud. They tend to be called like WWE drones who just live and die for the company. But I think the bigger issue at play here is WWE fans tend to give their wrestlers a pass because it doesn't happen as frequently in WWE. And so when it doesn't happen on a weekly basis, I think fans are more willing to forgive when things like that happen. And I don't necessarily think that's the right thing. I think that's actually probably a negative attitude, because all that does is breed kind of this culture where guys in WWE will start to believe that maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay to try these risky maneuvers that don't pay off. But there's a lot of similarities in why these things happen in both companies. I think one of the biggest problems is that we live now in a culture where wrestling fans live and die by what is said on the internet. And these moments on the internet only last for very short periods of time. So back in the day, and this makes me sound like, like an old head wrestling fan, but back in the day during the Attitude Era, you saved all of your biggest moves and finishers for the pay-per-view. Because that's what was going to get talked about when everybody went back to school, when everybody went to work the next day. Those were the events that were going to be water cooler wrestling talk. Yeah. And now we live in this time where there's fleeting moments. There's fleeting moments of virality where if you do something on just a random Friday and it's a big time risky move and it pays off, you get an hour of the internet's attention, and they start typing away, and they talk about it, and then it's gone. And so the issue I have is the risk reward with things like this is it really worth doing this on a Friday? Because the spot they're talking about, I don't know if you know, last week on SmackDown, Austin Theory attempted a modified Spanish fly off the top ropes, where he kind of sat down, and then the move is basically Austin Theory has to do a backflip, Carmelo Hayes has to do a front flip, and they should land safely in the ring. That is the way the move is intended to be pulled off. But what happened was they came down head to head. And the back, I don't know if it was the back of Carmelo's head or the back of Austin, but they went back of head to front of head and hit the ground like that, and the ref called the match off. Done. We're not going forward, which we're gonna have to give a shout out to WWE, and I think this might play into Evan's question, or play into to Noah's question here, is that one reason WWE tends to give a little bit of pass is because when they see these things happen, they immediately stop the action. Yeah. And they go, these guys aren't okay. Doesn't matter how this affects the storyline going forward. Doesn't matter,
Were either of them hurt? I did not get to catch that.
So they both were listed as having facial and head contusions, which I'm assuming is code word for concussion. Yeah. Like WWE just doesn't need or want to put out that that's a concussion. They'll take care of it in-house. But I believe seeing how they were injured, seeing how they kind of reacted to the bump, I think they one or both of them probably had a concussion.
Yeah.
But this raises to me the conversation of risk versus reward, because when you look at that move and you take the context of where that move happened, this is just a Friday night SmackDown 3 weeks before the Royal Rumble. It's just a random SmackDown. Austin Theory is going up on the ropes, trying a maneuver that is, I don't know the difficulty. I can't tell you what's hard, what's not hard. I can tell you that from just looks, this looks to be a complicated version of this maneuver where he's going to sit down, they're going to flip. The timing almost has to be absolutely perfect. And here's like I said just a second ago, the problem is if you're successful, right? Yeah. Let's say this move goes perfectly to plan. What do you get? You get an hour of virality on the internet. Mm-hmm. You get 1 hour of the IWC tapping away on their, oh, did you see that? Oh my God, that was so cool. And that's it. That's what you get. When it doesn't go correctly, this is what you get. You get 2 of your high mid-card wrestlers who are injured for no reason. The match did not need that maneuver. Here's the fucked up part of this. It's not even a finishing move. Yeah. That's not even a match. I mean, that's not even a move that was going to finish the match. That move was probably going to get kicked out of. So you have this kind of insane spot that you put in the middle of a match that is not a finishing maneuver. This is not a premium live event. And at best, you get 1 hour of people talking about this, and that's being generous. It's probably not even noticed. Casual wrestling fans, all you're going to get from them is a, ooh, damn, right? And then that's kind of fleeting. With the IWC, you might get a few type-ups on Twitter. And that's it. It's not going to linger. And so that raises the question for me is why not save that? If this is really something that you think, if you're Austin Theory and you go, this move has potential to really, leave an impact on people, why not save that for a bigger event? Why place that into some random Friday? And I think that, to me, begs the question of right now in wrestling, there's just too many guys doing crazy shit because of the IWC gloating over crazy shit. Yeah. It's almost like the IWC is driving this narrative of like, you have to do crazier shit every week to get noticed. Instead of resting on, here's the reality. Austin Theory does not need those kind of maneuvers to get over in a match. He's not that guy. Austin Theory has proven he can be a good heel. But hold on my phone. All right. So Austin Theory has proven he can be a good heel without crazy moves. Like bring the cell phone back and Austin Theory is going to be perfectly fine. But there's this obsession, I think, right now, especially with these wrestlers who are under the age of 30, who are the kind of Twitter generation of wrestlers who need that hit of virality. They need to do something so they get a little bit of recognition on that random Friday. Instead of understanding that I am building towards something bigger, it's almost this constant need for like attention. I have to get noticed. And so I'm going to do something wild tonight. And when it goes bad, this is what you end up with. But I truly believe that actual talented wrestlers who have the full package, they know when and where to use those spots effectively, and they don't have to do it all of the time. They know that it fits within the context of a story, and I'll use Kevin Owens as one of the prime examples. From premium live event to premium live event, everything in between, Kevin Owens is pretty solid, right? He's good on a microphone. He can tell a story. His moveset is solid. He does jump off the ropes, but it's usually nothing risky. When you get to a premium live event with Kevin Owens, all bets are off. There's no telling what he could do. He'll jump out of the stands. He'll jump off the top of a cage. But he knows the effectiveness of when to do something like that. And I truly believe that, and this is a problem, this may be the AEW issue, right? And this is the problem I think a lot of people have with AEW is a lot of people go, you just hate AEW. I don't hate AEW, but I think I recognize AEW as a culture of wrestling that promotes bad habits. Mm-hmm. And it promotes danger within wrestling. Because you can draw the apples to apples comparison. This one-off thing with Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory was definitely stupid, was definitely not needed.
Do you think WWE knew it was going to happen?
I imagine that, yeah, because I don't. So when you take it out of context, I don't know that it's just an incredibly dangerous spot.
Yeah.
Because it's a move that's probably been done before. So WWE probably sees it as, hey, if these are two incredibly athletic guys. This is Carmelo Hayes. This is Austin Theory. And there's probably a 95% chance this goes correctly.
Yeah.
On the 5% chance it doesn't, which it didn't, there's bad that can happen. So, but my point is, I think in AEW, there's no, I think WWE, what you just said, I think they address things on a percentage basis, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, 5% chance this goes wrong, and if it does, we'll deal with it. In AEW, I feel like there's no addressing of like what the percentage is. Oh, we're gonna throw Darby Allin off the top of the ropes, backwards into stairs. What's the percentage that could go bad? It's 95% it could go bad, and in the 5% that it goes right, Darby Allin will get up and walk away. And so I feel like that is why a lot of casual wrestling fans don't enjoy AEW, is because we look at it through a lens of it is breeding a dangerous culture of wrestling. It is breeding a lot of maneuvers and situations. Like on this past Dynamite, nothing bad, but Samoa Joe did a move on Hook onto a table, and it looked like he murdered him. It looked like it went as bad as possible. And there's a part of me just instinctually, because this is the same thing that we're talking about with Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory. It's just a move that went wrong. Samoa Joe fully capable of doing any wrestling move, or I believe that 100%. But when it goes wrong in AEW, there's just this inherent visceral reaction. But no, it's like a visceral reaction from me to be like, see, I told you they're dangerous. When it is the same situation. But I think it happens so often, and it just feels like there's no regard. Who is it? Darby Allin. It feels like on a weekly basis, Darby Allin is put into complete danger. I think if there was a number over the top of your head that said the percentage of chance you had to get hurt in a match, his is at 100 all the time. Now, does he somehow walk out of every match physically capable of moving around? Sure. But there's no doubt Darby Allin's not going to be a healthy older man.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no doubt. And I don't care. There's a responsibility on Tony Khan and the company of AEW to protect your business. Even if a guy goes, I can do this. Mm-hmm. You have to, as a wrestling company, look at it and go, is the risk worth the reward? And a lot of times, like with Darby Allin, it's not. When you look at Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes, I can guarantee you the risk was not worth the reward in that match, especially going into Royal Rumble, which is kind of the show-off match where you want all of your big guns ready to go. I don't think,
so they probably won't even be a part of it.
I think they're going to be fine. I think that this happened 3 weeks out. You probably are in kind of a concussion protocol for a week. Mm-hmm. You get to kind of go back in and start, re-seeing if things feel right. And then they'll probably be ready to go by Royal Rumble, I would assume. But there's always that chance that you're not. Uh-huh. And then you look back and you go, was that move worth that possibility of not being ready to go? To me, that's what's it, like with things like Charlotte got injured doing kind of a risky on the rope springboard attack. And when you look back, you go, does Charlotte really need to be doing that kind of maneuver 3 months out of WrestleMania on a random Friday? And I do get the flip side of this argument. I'm not immune to the idea that, like,
you want to see the action. Like,
if you remove all dangerous maneuvers from wrestling, it's going to be boring. Exactly. There is an inherent risk, but I also do believe that within that inherent risk, that there is the idea that you just have to be conscious of that percentage, of like what the percentage is you could get hurt.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, each time you do something more and more risky, you set that expectation this high for me. So you've got to meet that. And then when you don't, then I'm kind of let down, you know what I mean?
But that's a fan's problem.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I'm telling you, I'm probably part of the problem. But at the same time, I also, like, if you just, so how do I say this? Like if it's just nonstop, then sometimes you get bored of that too. So I kind of see your
Well,
point of view that
I
you
think
gotta
that's
chill and then give me something to like look forward to so I can be like, oh my God.
I think that's the AEW problem, right? Is it's blood every match. It's flipping, it's jumping. And so when you do that, you almost become immune and numb. And like you said, it's we gotta push this. Well, they did blood, so now I'm gonna drink blood.
That's
right?
so gross.
Or this guy got hit with a chair, so I'm gonna use a pizza cutter on his face. That feels like AEW, and that's why I think that AEW gets less of the pass, is because you have to have somebody in your company who goes, no, we draw the line here. This is the line we don't pass. Even if we know this will get the bigger reaction from the crowd, we draw the line. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Every time Drew McIntyre does a suicide dive out of the ring, I immediately go, how dumb is that? He's 6'6". He has the moveset of a powerhouse. For him to jump out of the ring, the risk is not worth the reward. Every time he jumps over the top of those ropes, I guarantee you the opportunity for him to become injured is exponentially higher than when he just wrestles your standard Drew McIntyre style match.
Yeah.
And so every time you do that, especially, and he doesn't do it often, and he's probably been told not to do it as much anymore, but it's just because you look and you go, even if he accomplishes it, right? Even if he makes it over the ropes and he lands correctly, you get 1 hour of people going, oh man, do you remember when Drew McIntyre jumped over the ropes? And then it's over. Then it's not talked about anymore.
Yeah.
And one farther is go Hit Row, go Top Dollar. Remember when he tried to jump over the ropes and he missed and he got hung up?
Yes.
It was almost career ending.
Yeah.
For him doing something. And I sympathize with Top Dollar because he's in a position where he goes, I have to get fucking noticed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do something stupid like jump over over the ropes, and if I do that, maybe they'll pay attention to me. I just don't. I think it's a risk reward situation. I think to kind of circle back to answer the question from Noah. I don't think it's fair. I definitely don't think it's fair, and I'm the first to recognize. Like, I'm not going to. A lot of people want to give Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory a pass. They want to go, well, it's WWE. It's not as bad. This is just as dumb as an AEW bad spot. Yeah. When you're 3 weeks out from the Royal Rumble, that's not the spot. Maybe if you want to do that in the Royal Rumble or premium live event, then you go to the Performance Center and you work on this for 3 weeks, making sure you've got it perfectly, put together. But the risk was not worth the reward.
Yes, sir.
All right, second question. This question comes from Ryan Johnson in Garland, Texas. He asked, do you believe that Seth Rollins was legitimately injured on Monday Night Raw? I don't. And I know this is going to turn some heads because every news outlet is reporting that Seth Rollins is legitimately injured. I smell bullshit. I smell Triple H, Seth Rollins. I smell good booking. I smell smart publicity. It just makes so much sense. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because this completely plays into this story arc that I laid out last week.
Yeah.
That Seth Rollins is dropping the title and he will be in the Royal Rumble. And now, I thought it was going to happen last week, but once again, I didn't factor in television and outside of WWE. Last week's Monday Night Raw was up against 2 NFL football games.
Oh.
So you're not going to get anybody watching there.
Yeah.
And then it was also kind of a thrown together show because of the winter weather.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the time to do it. When no eyeballs on the product, what they did was they smartly just put together a solid Monday Night Raw, didn't blow anybody away, didn't really progress any storylines. It was just a solid Monday Night Raw that sold tickets. It moved us 1 week closer to the Royal Rumble. But now we're coming out. There's going to be no NFL on Monday. Monday night is going to be all eyes on Monday Night Raw this week.
Yeah.
And what a better way to set up Seth Rollins to lose the title than for him to walk in to Monday Night Raw this week on crutches.
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins walks into Monday Night Raw this week injured on crutches, and he comes out, and there's even rumors that he's got to drop the title, right?
Yeah.
And so why not? That's prime opportunity for Judgment Day to come out to the ring and jump Seth Rollins and take the belt away from him, Seth won't look bad because they'll sell it. Well, they'll sell it as Seth was really injured, right? Mm-hmm. And you start blurring these lines of what's real and what's fake. But I just don't. The reports always bother me when you get these reports from the dirt sheets and it goes, Seth Rollins is legitimately injured. Now, this could be a bad injury or this could be not so bad. And I'm like, well.
Then how can he be legitimately injured?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine, sure, something hurts on Seth Rollins, but I find it hard to believe that Seth Rollins, they faked an injury during the match. Now they're saying he really got injured at the end of the match. That's all too much bullshit for me. Like, it's too much smoke and mirrors. Mm-hmm. I 100% think this is kayfabe. This is a booked injury so that we can get the title off. I'm convinced 100% they're getting the title off of Seth Rollins before the Royal Rumble for two reasons. One, they can begin Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre heading into WrestleMania because that is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania. And it gets Seth Rollins into the Royal Rumble to go face to face with CM Punk and begin that storyline. The Royal Rumble is perfect for setting up storylines heading into WrestleMania. At some point, we're going to have the Usos clash. They're going to see each other in the Royal Rumble. CM Punk and Seth Rollins could see each other in the Royal Rumble.
True.
And you start laying the seeds out for those stories that are moved forward. But here's the most telling thing to me, Lauren. Mm-hmm. Damian Priest has not talked about the Royal Rumble at all. He has not spoken like he is a participant in the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So even if you've got the Money in the Bank contract, it feels to me like Damian Priest would be speaking about winning the Royal Rumble and getting an opportunity to get to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Or Roman Reigns, whoever he chooses to do. It would give him double opportunities. The fact that he's not even mentioning the Royal Rumble leads me to believe that this is a story where they're trying to get our focus off of this. Boom, this is going to happen. We're going to get the title change. And then Damian Priest doesn't, he has no involvement. He needs no involvement in the Royal Rumble. I think that here's the problem. Let's say this injury is legitimate, okay? And then this goes back to kind of what I talked about in the first topic of the show. You have Seth Rollins. You have a guy who is seemingly going to be involved in one of the three biggest stories going into WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
And so you have that guy and you put him in title match after title match after title match on a weekly basis, just crossing your fingers that he doesn't get hurt? Mm-hmm. Did we have to have a world heavyweight title match between Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw last week? No. There was no reason that you had to have it. In fact, I still believe it's setting up for this Monday. Jinder Mahal could attack Seth Rollins again, which could lead to Damian Priest cashing in. Like, there are reasons for what Triple H is doing. I don't believe Triple H just gave us a random title match with Jinder Mahal on a random Monday and Seth Rollins walked out of that match injured, because that is just shooting yourself in the foot from a booking point, from a booking standpoint. Seth Rollins is the type of guy who can sell this injury. He's the type of guy that you can explain, I need this to look real. And so the fact that, the big thing that like the dirt sheets are banking on is they go, well, he definitely limped all the way to the back.
Tell me why I imagine like Willy Wonka, the old one, Gene Wilder, where he comes in, he's like limping. And then all of a sudden he like does the front roll and jumps up.
It's probably what happened in the back, right?
That's what I imagine Seth Rollins
You don't think that Seth Rollins is the quality level wrestler who can sell an injury from the midpoint of the match all the way until nobody's looking?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't doubt if Seth Rollins is the kind of guy you're saying goes in the back and rolls. I believe Seth Rollins is the caliber of wrestler who is on crutches today, knowing that if anybody sees him, he has to sell the injury. Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong. There's a chance he's really hurt.
Yeah.
And if he's really hurt, now you've got to start kind of looking at the landscape heading into WrestleMania, and you start going, well, what do we do? How do we plan this differently? Because we all assume it's going to be Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. So what do you start doing? How do you rearrange some of these pieces? What do you do with CM Punk if Seth Rollins is hurt? Do you strip Seth Rollins of the title? Those are all questions that are going to have to be answered quickly if this is a legitimate injury. But I am not convinced. I am not willing. I will not buy into. I will tell you, go back to Ryan Johnson's question here. I don't think so. And I think a lot of people are buying into the bullshit. I don't think so. I don't think he's really hurt. I think this is 100% a story. I think we will find out Monday. We'll know Monday. That's the thing.
They still
we'll know
haven't released
quickly.
what is wrong with him, right?
It's what?
Have they released
knee?
Exactly what?
Knee.
Okay.
They're saying knee.
All right.
They're saying knee. They're saying that the story I'm reading is he planted funny when he went for the stomp. I'm calling bullshit.
Rewind the tapes.
Well, no, because during that match, 10 minutes earlier, they tried to sell a spot where he jumped off the ropes and grabbed his knee.
Yeah.
So you're telling me he faked a knee injury and then 10 minutes later he had a real knee injury? I think this is the internet just reaching for something, and I do believe this is storyline. Third question of the week comes from Andrew in Henderson, Nevada. Andrew asks, what do you think WWE has planned for CM Punk and Cody Rhodes heading into the Royal Rumble based on CM Punk's call out of Cody Rhodes on social media? So I don't know if you saw it. CM Punk tweeted basically he wants to talk to Cody when he comes to Monday Night Raw. Mm-hmm. I think we might be looking too much into this. I think Royal Rumble's a funny time with booking. You've got to just have entertaining Monday Night Raws and shows up until Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble doesn't have a lot of storylines. Mm-hmm. You've got, a couple title matches, but outside of that, it's this one match where everybody goes into the match, to fight each other.
Yeah.
But I will say, CM Punk, better than any other wrestler right now, he understands the power of social media.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He's using social media better than any wrestler in the business right now, because instead of calling people out and talking shit and spending his time like the Young Bucks trying to drum up, AEW is getting rid of all the toxic wrestlers and taking shots at CM Punk is using social media to build storylines in WWE. WWE's got to be in love with this. CM Punk tweets out, I'll see you on Monday, Cody.
Yeah.
And the wrestling world loses their shit, because you start getting questions like, what is it? What are we getting, CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? No, we're not.
The cool thing about social media too is you don't know the tone that somebody's saying it in. So it could be like, I see you on Monday, Cody, or I'll see you on Monday. You know what I mean? That's what goes through my mind. And then
I'm not sure.
And stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it was addressed, but you might have to look it up. I think it was more of there was tone.
There was tone to it?
Yeah, it was more like, I'll see you. We have some things we need to discuss. But what this is going to be, obviously, and what this is going to do, because this is going to bring ratings in on Monday Night Raw, but what this is going to be CM Punk and Cody Rhodes standing in the ring talking about, hey, fuck you, I'm going to finish my story. No, you're going to finish your... And it's perfect setup, right? Because you have so many guys right now in WWE who have this mentality of, fuck Cody Rhodes' story. Right? Drew McIntyre saying, hey, no, man, it's my moment. CM Punk saying, I came back to main event of WrestleMania, right? Seth Rollins is saying, I'm still that guy. So they've just kind of lined these guys up week after week to talk to Cody, and they get to tell their side of the story, and Cody kind of sits back and listens. But this is great booking heading into the Royal Rumble, and this once again just doubles down on my belief that Cody Rhodes is winning the Royal Rumble, because all of these stories are seemingly being circled. The WWE is orbiting around Cody Rhodes right now. Mm-hmm. If you pay close attention, Cody Rhodes is the sun, and everything else is orbiting around it. I found it funny that a week after I put out an episode talking about who's the face of WWE, and I made a big explanation that Cody Rhodes is the face of WWE, not Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes comes out and tweets, I want to be the face of WWE.
Damn.
So I find that interesting that that mentality is swirling around inside of WWE. There's definite, and I'm not saying that he heard me and picked up on what I'm saying. I'm saying that I have my thumb on the pulse of what's going on. And I can see by the way WWE's maneuvering, they are trying to position Cody Rhodes to be the next John Cena, to be the next big, and I think he's well on that path, but they are placing the dominoes in place to make sure that happens. Mm-hmm. As far as CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, look, what Triple H is doing right now, which is fantastic, which is it hasn't been done in so long, he's planting little seeds all over WWE. Mm-hmm. And they're not seeds that previously, kind of the end of the Vince McMahon era, what you had was premium live event ends. On Monday, we have these major story changes. And then we have to we don't know why it's happening, but there's a major change, right? What Triple H is doing is he's dropping these little seeds of like doubt all around WWE. Well, maybe Cody and CM Punk don't like each other. Yeah. We're not going to address that right now. We'll address it down later the road. But what it does is when these stories pop up, there's history to look back to. I don't remember right now in the last 3 or 4 weeks, the last match on Monday Night Raw that I felt like, where the fuck did this come from? Mm-hmm. With Vince McMahon, it felt like every match was like, watching Monday Night Raw, I was like, yeah, these great. I don't know why these guys are wrestling.
And then they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But now you have like Kofi Kingston versus Ludwig Kaiser turns into Xavier Woods versus Ludwig Kaiser, which turns into Gunther or something, like it all just kind of makes sense. And seeds are being planted all over the place. You have CM Punk run into LA Knight at one point. You have Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley cross paths. And maybe those aren't the matches being made for WrestleMania, but there's seeds being planted down the line. So the question is, what do I think that means for Cody Rhodes and CM Punk? I think it means SummerSlam, right? If let's say Cody Rhodes goes into WrestleMania and he beats Roman Reigns and he becomes the new WWE champion, the next biggest match is going to be CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE championship.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you can immediately, those seeds have already been planted in January for a match that could possibly happen in August. But what Triple H has right now, he has cheat codes. He understands, he's seeing the booking so well. He's got these names like CM Punk. He's got Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. And he doesn't even have to book these guys in wrestling matches. He literally can put these guys in promo positions just to talk to each other. When Drew McIntyre and CM Punk got in the ring a couple weeks ago, that was fire. Like, it felt like there was some real bad blood there.
Yeah. You
put Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre in the ring together, you start feeling a little bit of tension. Now you're going to put Cody Rhodes and CM Punk in the ring together. There's going to be tension. A couple weeks before that, you put CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the ring together. You could feel the tension, but these are just seeds being planted all over the place, because I still live and die by the idea that Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre are headed towards something. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are headed towards something. CM Punk and Seth Rollins are headed towards something, but all of these guys are intermingling right now. And I haven't seen this since the Attitude Era, where it always it always feels like there's multiple guys in play for the title, which is when it's the most fun. When it's the next man up, it's never as fun. When it's like,
when you know what's going to happen, it's boring.
Exactly. And I feel like the seeds are now being placed for like, okay, there's a lot going on. I do get right now the titles are held up, and we're going to have to figure that shit out. Like, who's going to be
all these damn like milestones or what?
Yeah, and that's great. That's fine. But like, I think we can survive to WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I do. Like, we're now in January. We go February, March, and we can survive to WrestleMania with Gunther as the Intercontinental Champion, with Roman as the WWE Undisputed Champion. Mm-hmm. But I think coming out of WrestleMania, I'm hoping that Roman's not going for Hogan's title, for Hogan's record. If he is, fuck.
How much longer is that?
It's like, I don't know. It's like when they go to Germany or something like that. It's way down the road. So if they are, I hope they're not trying to have Gunther hold on to the title till Germany. I would rather them get the title off of Gunther sooner rather than later and have Gunther go for the WWE title in Germany. I'd rather them have Gunther win a world title in Germany. I think that would be absolutely insane. But as far as like, you have to look at the Royal Rumble, right? It's like I said, you're going to get Jimmy versus Jay. You got Logan versus KO. You've got all the seeds have been planted for so many fucking cool things. At some point, we've got to assume Logan and we think LA Knight, right? For WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Those seeds have been planted. That's in our brain. And so it can't be that hard. I assume Logan is going to beat Kevin Owens. I assume that it's going to be some kind of trickery. And then at some point, LA Knight and Logan Paul are going to cross paths.
True.
All right, last question of the week comes from Big Poppy Pumpkin 313.
Big Poppy Pumpkin.
He asked, I saw Brian Alvarez say that the women wrestlers in NXT were being overtrained and therefore are being injured at a higher rate in NXT. Do you see any validity in the statement? So here's what happened. So Cora Jade got hurt.
Yeah.
Another leg injury. And there's been a long list of women's leg injuries in NXT. Let me see. I have them here. Cora Jade, Nikita Lyons, Dakota Kai, Stevie Turner, Ariana Grace, Tegan Knox. All of these wrestlers have had leg injuries that have come out of NXT. And so the question, I think that Brian Alvarez, and I'm not a big Brian Alvarez fan, but sometimes I'm objective and I listen to what people say. His thing is that possibly these women in NXT are being overtrained. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's completely off basis. I played Division I sports. I understand sports training. I do understand that for the most part in high level sports, the trainers are male.
Yeah.
And even the trainers that aren't male, that are female, they tend to learn training regimens from males. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's an interesting question that has to be asked is, do men and women train the same way? Is it effective for their bodies? Because men and women are built very differently, right?
Definitely.
And I think, so I'm kind of, we'll dissect this in different ways. Number one, I think that the leg injuries in NXT are, number one, because there's a ton of women wrestlers getting a ton of opportunity in NXT. So just more contact sport means more injuries.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would say that professional wrestling is the closest thing that women's sports has to pro football. Is that an incorrect statement?
As far as like impact and things like
what
that.
What other sport?
There isn't one.
Right? Because women's basketball is physical. It's definitely a physical
but you're
game.
Not constantly.
It's not a deliberate.
Throwing people on the floor.
Yeah.
You're not getting tackled or anything like that. Now, I mean, there's like women's football, but like.
But that's not played at a high enough.
There's not. I mean, there's like other professional league, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, I would agree with you that the contact side of it is on that same level.
Yeah, because there is women's football, but number one, the injuries aren't being reported on a national level.
When it's flag football, isn't it?
No, there's all kinds of women's football. There's tackle, but I'm saying
whatever.
My problem with women's football is it's not reported on a national level, right?
Yeah.
There's not enough of a national attention that people report injuries on those sports. So to me, women's professional wrestling is the biggest sport where injuries are reported and collision is deliberately happening. So I think that you're going to recognize that more injuries are going to happen just because of that. I think where I'll differ a little bit is from Brian Alvarez is that because of being overtrained, or like I said, is that just because they're in the ring more? Mm-hmm. Like indie, I think the comparison he made was that a lot of indie women's wrestlers aren't getting injured as much as NXT girls. But the argument I would make is these NXT girls, I assume, are training every day of the week, right? Yeah. And they're doing wrestling every day of the week. And so are you being injured because you're training, or are you being injured because of the amount of opportunities there are to get injured? That's the question that I think needs to be talked about. But I think that a lot of the women's wrestlers in NXT at this point are athletes coming from like NIL deals in other places. And these are girls who have trained to be athletes now from a young age. So the wear and tear on their body is definitely higher than maybe some of these girls who just got into indie wrestling later in their career.
True.
I think there's a lack of knowledge, in the science on how women train.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've asked me, right? Will I help you train?
Yeah.
So when we go to the gym.
I don't know.
Well, I'm like, sure, but I'm going to train you the exact same way I train myself. And I don't know if that's the best way for a woman to train or not. I just know what I was taught in college, and I can apply that to you. But the difference is we have very different centers of gravity. Our bodies are built very differently. So if you talk about WWE having a plethora of male trainers and even the female trainers they have being trained by male trainers, I think it begs the question that you have to look at is,
maybe you should intertwine some women into there to kind of help.
No, that's not the question I'm asking, because I don't want to draw that. I don't want to draw that comparison, because I think it's a deeper. I think it's a scientific level question of do training and physical people in general understand the difference in male and female bodies? Now, I'm sure on like a deeper level, like in bodybuilding and shit, I'm sure there's people who do, but do the trainers inside of WWE understand that? And I'm not qualified to answer this question. I'm just kind of piggybacking on the back of Brian Alvarez saying, is it training, or are they training incorrectly? But there's got to be something. You don't just have a bunch of people show up in Cora Jade, Nikita Lyons, Dakota Kai.
Physically, ability is different. Like, a man that was the same size as me, I'm not going to be able to do everything that he is, even if we were in the same like physical shape. I think just, his body's different. He's a man, I'm a woman.
And you think that
some people may not like that. I don't care, but
I don't. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people won't like that, but I don't care about that side. Yeah. My concern with that argument is that it's weird that it's this one particular injury.
So is it the same injury over
It's leg injuries over and over and over again. And so you're saying that women just have a different physical makeup, therefore their bodies can't take the impact. I don't know if that's it, or if it's everything that we're doing is kind of built around the idea of how guys do it.
Yeah.
And so maybe girls can do it, but maybe there's a different way you're supposed to land. Maybe there's a different way you're supposed to train your legs to protect your legs.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I'm just asking the question that men and women have different centers of gravity. That's proven.
Yeah.
So then how can they train the same?
I don't think you can.
But let's just talk about it from Cora Jade's point of view. I think it sucks for Cora Jade because she's somebody who was on the come up.
Yeah.
She had just come back. She was kind of making a splash. She was in a title opportunity. Now you're injured. Now you're out probably another year. Which, she's 24 years old? I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
Cora Jade's interesting. I think she has the most potential to be, everybody wants to be AJ Lee, but I think she kind of has that same attitude and stigma that AJ Lee had. I saw a bunch of IWC complaining. She'd have been moved up to the main roster like she needed to be. She'd have never got injured. Number one, I think that's bullshit because I think Dakota Kai's injury happened on the main roster. Yeah. So I don't think it matters where you are. Injuries are injuries. I also think that at 23 or 24 years old, these guys got to chill.
Yeah.
There's no reason to
rush things.
We got to decide as a community. You have half of the IWC who screams NXT, we got to get them out of there. They got to go to the main roster. Then you have the other half of the IWC who goes, NXT is the best brand of wrestling. It's the best. So we got to come to a little bit of a consensus here. It is okay to be in NXT for 3 or 4 years. We've got to stop looking at that like that's a negative. We can still understand that it is developmental, that it is training, but someone like Cora Jade could benefit from winning a title, then losing a title, then winning a title, and understanding the kind of peaks and valleys of being a professional wrestler. I think too many people, they win a title in NXT, and so the next thing they want to do is go main roster. So they see their career as this arc that only moves upwards.
Yeah.
Right? I win a title here, then I go to main roster and I need to win a title. And if I don't win a title, I'm a failure, which is absolutely bullshit. I think you should, this is why I said with Dominic Mysterio, NXT would have done him well. I think Dominic Mysterio has found his niche on the main roster, definitely. And I think it's too late to send him down now.
Yes.
And I'll admit I'll swallow a little bit of humble pie on Dominic Mysterio in the fact that I don't think he'll ever be a world champion. But he definitely has found his niche in pro wrestling.
Yes.
So I think it's like a 50-50 split. I was right on the fact that he's not going to be a world champion. Not in the next 5 years. I was wrong in the sense that he figured out how to be a good comedic bad guy.
Yeah, definitely.
But as far as Cora Jade goes, there's no rush. Why do you have to move her up to the main roster so quickly? Why do we put guys in bad positions? Look at Carmelo Hayes, a guy who is on top of the world in NXT, and then you put him on SmackDown. And I think if he doesn't win in the first 6 months, there are going to be fans who start to view Carmelo Hayes as a failure. And I absolutely don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that guys need to have this up and down in NXT so that they can understand that there are going to be moments where you need the title, and there are going to be moments when you're without a title and you have to function. Bianca Belair is learning this right now. That with a title, she's one character, but without a title, she's a different character, and you've got to learn to be able to handle both of those positions. Braun Breaker is somebody who I think everybody every year when there's a draft, when WrestleMania ends, everybody's like, it's time to call him up. It's time to bring him up. The problem is the information he's learning in NXT right now is invaluable. He was a champion. He was a babyface. He switched over to being a heel. He's been one of the best heels in NXT. Now he's working with Baron Corbin, and they have this weird kind of MJF Adam Cole buddy thing going on, and it's working. And so what we're seeing with Braun Breaker is he's getting a taste of all of these different situations. So when he does come up to the main roster, he will have all of the tools ready to go to be a major player.
I think is really good.
I think that, to me, that's what NXT is supposed to be. If you put these guys on this impossible arc where, okay, I start out, I'm training in NXT, right? Then maybe I win an NXT mid-card title. I drop that title. Now I win an NXT world title. Immediately after I drop the NXT world title, I'm just relegated or delegated. I moved up to the main card where now, if I don't continue this path that is an upward trend, I'm viewed as a failure. I think that's completely unfair. I think you win an NXT title, you lose it, you learn to wrestle without that title. They're doing it with Tiffany Stratton, and it seems to be the new kind of formula in NXT is to win a title, lose a title, feel what it's like to not have a title, and then when we see a spot, we will plug you in.
Yeah.
Anything else, Lauren?
No, I'm excited to see what'll happen at the Royal Rumble.
Yep, next week Mike will be on the show. We're going to do a Royal Rumble preview. Following that, we'll see what comes out of the Royal Rumble. What we got? We got Elimination Chamber, and then it's WrestleMania.
Yeah,
so we're right around the corner. It comes fast.
Yes, it does.
This has been another episode of the Casual Wrestling Community Show. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this episode with everybody you know. If you would like to submit a question for the podcast, make sure to do it one of 3 ways. You can follow me on X, which is formerly Twitter, and send a DM on that application. You can join the Discord. The link will be in the description of this video, and you could submit questions on the Discord, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube video with the hashtag AskNerdyD, so I know that it's meant for me to answer and not somebody else. But that is it for this week. I am the Notorious NerdyD. That is LevelUp Lauren, and you can ring the final bell.